If you're seeing this video, you need to thank your algorithm and also buckle your seatbelt because I'm about to give you a full makeup tutorial on how to do everyday makeup. This is going to be an easy routine, it's step by step, and it's so simple. First, you're going to do your bronzer and your moisturizer together. I know a lot of people don't do this, but you should be doing this if you want glowy skin. Always do more moisturizer than bronzer. Then you're going to go in with a nice light SPF, and I always start off my makeup looks by doing my brows. I don't know if this is weird or not, but I like to have my brows set and glued down first. I'm using this one from Catrice. It's really, really cheap. Now I go in with some primer. I like to go in with a glowy primer because I feel like grippy primers always break my skin out, and use a nice fluffy brush. If you've dark under eyes like me, always use a colour corrector, and then go in with some foundation. This is a really nice one from Penny's. I got a new concealer from Hourglass and I love how it looks. You always do under your eyes, your chin and your forehead, and then always use a bigger brush to do your concealer on your forehead and your chin. When you're doing your bronzer, always do your cheekbone, right below your eye and on your forehead, and then I like to do my nose and under my lip actually, which will make your lips look powderier. Then I go in with some blush. This one's from Rare Beauty. I like a lot of brushes, you can tell, and I just put this up my cheek, and I always do the tip of my nose. Blend that in with the same brush that you would use to blend in your bronzer, and then you're going to do powder to set all of your liquid products, especially under your eyes, so your concealer doesn't crease. I like to use a nice pointy brush whenever I do my powder. Also, always set your forehead, make sure everything is set before you go in with your powder products. I like to use some contour. This one is from Essence, and as you can see, I've used it quite a bit. I just go in with the exact same places that I would have put the liquid bronzer to set that. I like to do my forehead, and I use the exact same angled brush. You're not going to need a lot of this because otherwise it'll look like it's too much. You want it to look like you're not using as much as you should be using. Then I go in and I do my blush. I always do a lot of blush, so sometimes I like to put a little bit more concealer on my nose afterwards just to make my nose really pop. That's why I always contour my nose, is then to put the lighter product on. When I'm doing my eyelashes, you always need a curler that has a little grippy thing. I don't know what they're called, but it's the pink thing on the inside. And also you're going to want to clamp it and hold for ages, like I mean 30 seconds, maybe a bit longer. I use the Telescopic mascara. It is my favourite mascara. It is so good. You're going to want a lot of this, and I like to go from the root of my lash up and almost like kind of blink on the wand, if that makes sense. And I do this for quite a while. Like, I like to perfect my lashes. It's one of the last steps in my makeup routine because it takes so long. Then I go in with a waterproof mascara because that's the lashes down really well and keeps them in place all day. For my lip liner, I always go in with a dark brown liner. This one is from Fenty and it blends into my lips really well. I always line the bottom part of my lips, and I don't line like the full part of my lips, like only the outer corners, because I like to blend them in and then add a nice gloss on top. For the gloss, I'm going in with this one I found from Glossier. I only bought it yesterday and it's really, really pretty. I'm not using too much because it's very pigmented, and then you just blend it all together, and that is the